Welcome to the latest episode of Five on the Floor on the Five Reasons Sports Network. Thanks for joining us on your favorite podcast app. We're now on Red Circle as well as Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the Five Reasons YouTube channel. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and turn your notifications on because you get all of our content on South Florida sports, not just the Miami Heat. Also, check out fivereasonsports.com, spell that one out, and check out the great sponsors of the Five Reasons Sports Network. He's been a longtime supporter of ours. And you definitely should support him because he can help you out. If you've got any kind of back or neck pain, Dr. Jonathan Chung is the guy to go to. Board certified chiropractic and chiropractic neurology, specializes in chronic pain, dizziness, and post-concussion syndrome. He's got a new sports vision training program used by athletes like Steph Curry. And here's the thing. He's based up in kind of the West Palm Beach area, a little bit west of West Palm in Wellington. But he offers telehealth consultations at an affordable price. He can do it with you wherever you're at, again, as well as the in-person. So reach out to him at Dr. Jonathan Chung. You can find him at Dr. Jonathan Chung on Twitter or chiropractickeystone.com. Again, that's chiropractickeystone.com. And now, today's episode. All right, welcome back to Five on the Floor. Here's today's floor plan. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick and at Five Reasons Sports. I got Greg Sylvander. You can follow him at Greg Sylvander. We're going to get an episode here for you on the weekend, and then we'll do another one probably Sunday going into Monday as the Miami Heat now trail 3-1 in their NBA Final Series against the Denver Nuggets. They lost at home. They've now lost a few games in a row at home. And actually, this team as a whole, if you just looked at them in a 10-game stretch, they're not playing all that well. Of course, the opponents have gotten better, but really they're not playing at a high level. And I polled this yesterday, Greg, and we'll get right to it. Is this more ... The Denver Nuggets are really good, or the Heat are not playing well? And, of course, we get a lot of the both thing with the quote tweets and the replies and all that, but that's not what I was looking for. And it is, of course, it
Yeah,
is a little bit
it
of
is
both.
both, but that's not what you're looking for.
It's not what I'm looking for. It's not a multiple choice question in that regard. It's 60% right now, as I look at the poll, about 4,500 votes. 60% saying it's the Nuggets are really, really good. And so there is the requisite respect there for Denver, but you're shaking your head as we do this.
I disagree.
You think it's more the Heat?
I do, and I won't go into the huge diatribe about this, but I think that Denver hasn't played that great. They're playing good. Don't get me wrong, but I don't look at what they're doing and say, "Oh my gosh, this team is just so overwhelming." I mean, as I was reviewing numbers this morning, when I look at in the paint, Bam and Jimmy this series, they are 24-44, right, like in the dunker spot around the basket. For perspective, league average is 66%. That's 54% that Bam and Jimmy are shooting. If you take it out and extend it within the free throw line, but still in the paint, they're 21-56. That's 37%. League average is 44%. For perspective, Jamal Murray and Jokic are shooting 49% in that area. And so, I just feel like this is partly that the 3-point shooting, and really Jimmy more than Bam is not playing to the level of Denver's best players. And I hate to say that, but they needed Jimmy Butler to be superhuman for them to win this series. And I hate to put that on him, but that was something that I thought was going to be a prerequisite, that at least they got 2 or 3 of those type of games. And so it has a lot to do with them not getting that versus Denver just being this juggernaut that cannot be stopped. The blueprint has been found. It's just they can't get to that blueprint enough.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. The metrics do show that they've gotten a lot of the shots that you would want them to get. And also, you're looking at a Denver team where a couple guys, are not playing that well. Michael Porter Jr. has not played well in this series. At least he's not shot well. Nothing compared to what he should be doing. I mean, you're talking about a guy who was the best high school player in the country at one point. And KCP has given them nothing offensively either. So you've got 2 guys there in their core rotation who really haven't given them much. Obviously, Gordon was great yesterday, and we kind of called that on the Prize Pick show. It was we're waiting for the Aaron Gordon game because of all the attention that was being given to Murray and Jokic. And so I do think we need to acknowledge that this Denver team is really well constructed. they've done a very good job at surrounding their two stars with guys who can contribute even when they're not scoring that well. And that is what you try to do as a team with your role players. And Aaron Gordon as a number one or a number two in Orlando, that's a lottery team. As a number three or a number four playing off two great players, he's perfect. And so you have to give them credit for Calvin Booth and the rest of that group, Mike Malone. They understand their team. And I hate to say this because I didn't want to be right about this, but I said before the series that this felt to me like it could be 2014. And in a lot of ways, it has been 2014. In fact, if you just look at the way that the games have gone, the Heat in that, game one, lost game one, squeaker in game two on the road, where they got a little bit of help to win that game. And then the next three they lost. And that looks the way that this is trending right now. And, in a lot of ways, I do think the Nuggets are like the Spurs. There are similar qualities to the way they've created their organization, to the way that they play off their stars, etc. So I think that they're going to be worthy champions if they close this thing off. And yes. I don't want to say it's over, but I think that we and Heat fans have we're getting close to the capitulation stage at this point. It feels tired at this point. I think, and I mean, as media members, we're tired. I can't imagine where the Heat players are because the amount of emotional energy that they've had to expend. I mean, first coming in as a play-in team just to get out of the play-in, and then to beat a Milwaukee team and make, Giannis contemplate failure and the meaning of it and all that. And then you get a Knicks series, which, you're dealing with the national media and everything else that's going on there, and beating a darling team and winning up in that building and all the rest. And then you got to beat Boston. And you got to beat Boston after you squander a 3-0 lead. And you got to go up to their place after an incredibly, deflating Game 6, one of the most deflating games in Miami Heat playoff history. And you have to go up there and steal a Game 7. And not only do it, but you blow them off the floor. And then you got to go play a Denver team that has been resting for 9 days. You've got to go in there in altitude. And you've got your best player who is not even close to himself right now. And you don't even have your third best player who you actually could have used in this series.
You're pouring from an empty cup.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's just not a lot left at this point. And so we've got to acknowledge it. And, Jimmy's up there, at the podium yesterday saying, that we can do this and all the rest. So he's got to say that. But I know why Heat fans are tired of hearing it because they're not seeing it. And he's just not himself. There was no point yesterday, Greg. And so I guess it does play into both, and I'm violating my own poll. But look, there was no point yesterday where I said he's going to take over.
No, you didn't feel it.
Right. And we felt it the whole postseason until the series.
You're right. And there were moments where even if you hit a couple in a row and you were down, you were like, okay, Jimmy's cooking. He's starting to cook. And you've had Bam cook moments, but Bam doesn't cook in the same way that Jimmy cooks. And we haven't had enough of that in this series, and we knew we needed it. I have other thoughts on what this series has told us, but I'll wait a moment to give those. But ultimately, like I said, Jimmy had to go nuclear, and we haven't had enough of it. And I hate to put that on him. And I think that maybe that's informative on how you need to approach team building with Jimmy. But damn it, it's just to get this close and to see Jimmy not able to put one of those 47, 9, and 9 master classes on, which maybe he still has one left in him, but we haven't seen one yet. And that's just a shame because you know what he's capable of. And clearly there's something physically not, clicking for him to be able to do that at this exact moment.
Yeah. And it's like I said before the last game, he may have one in him. I don't think he's got three. And that's the problem. They need three, and they needed three before last night, and they certainly need three now. And I don't see how he's going to summon that. And we talk about it, guys cooking. There is a guy who cooks for them sometimes, but we haven't seen him in 2 months, and we're not going to see him in this series. And I do think Tyler Herro would have helped in this series in some regard, especially against that drop. But we're never going to know, and it was never really a legitimate possibility as things kind of went on here. All right, let's get to what your thoughts are going forward, because we're going to do some of that. And then, again, tomorrow, you'll probably have Brady and Alex on, and we'll go through some of the schematics and all that and what they can do to still make this a series. But I think we wanted to do a big picture episode because I think we're all kind of at that point at this stage. We do want to mention a couple of sponsors here. Prize Picks, use the code 5, FIVE, get that initial deposit matched up to $100. You got to put the money down up front and use the code 5 to get the match. You don't have to play it all at once, but go to prizepicks.com. Use the code 5, FIVE, just rated number 1 fastest growing sports product in the country. And, of course, we do Prize Picks on 5. And even if the Heat aren't winning, our guys, David Freeman and David Eversole, have been. So make sure you follow them and Prize Picks on 5. We'll have another show on Monday. You can also play the Stanley Cup playoffs or Stanley Cup finals as well. The Panthers are still alive. Actually, if you're listening to this on Saturday, 2-1 in that series. And we'll see if they can pull off a parade here in South Florida, maybe one in Broward County. But follow Prize Picks. Again, download it from the Google Play Store, Apple App Store, or prizepicks.com. Use the code 5. We also do want to mention our friends over at You Break Wheel Fix. You can find them at youbreakwheelfix.com. Mark and his team, they are a complete automotive wheel solution. If you ever park too close to the sidewalk curb, I have for sure. You can get your wheels fixed there. They can do all of it for you with curb rash, cracks, bends, all of it. But also they can refinish the wheels to make them look like new, and they do the powder coating, machining, and polishing as well, and give you the custom colors. So if you want the Heat colors, you can do that too. YouBreakWheelFix.com, based in North Miami, Aventura area, 305-748-0112. That's 305-748-0112. All right, so again, we're not at the full season, off season. We're not there yet. Obviously, we're going to do a ton of draft coverage off the floor. The Heat do have the 18th pick, regardless of what happens in this series. That's certainly a good chip that they're going to be able to either use for themselves or maybe send somewhere else. But let's go with a couple of quick lessons that we've gotten off this run and series so far. Because you mentioned one on off the floor, which I think definitely has stuck out to people, which is, and I'm going to play off of it with this.
Yeah.
Mike Malone said something early in the series, maybe it was even before the series, and I can't remember the exact phrase, but it's something to the effect of functional size at every position. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe it wasn't functional. It was something along those lines. And
I like that, though.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the point was that wherever you go on the floor, it seems like when they switch, Denver never looks small.
Yeah.
Right? They never look small, like whether it's Gordon or Porter. I mean, you're talking about two wings who are sort of oversized wings playing with a center, and Murray doesn't play small. I mean, he's not he's not the biggest guy in terms of, he's 200 pounds, but he doesn't play small. They're just not a small team. And I think we saw even against like a team like the Lakers, which, and others in the West, they looked like, again, they never looked overmatched at any spot, right? The Heat do at times.
They do. And there's a couple things. One, I don't think you need size to get through the regular season. The formula is fine for the regular season. Like, they play the way that they play. I know that they go through stretches where certain guys get minutes and you get through a regular season, like that kind of stuff. So I'm not questioning that. But when I look at the 2020 NBA Finals in the bubble, and I remember what ailed Miami, granted Bam was injured, but still, what ailed them was LA seemed bigger, longer, and able to bother Miami with the fact that they were just a equally or more athletic team with the same physical traits or better, whether that be wingspan, height, girth, acreage, as PJ Tucker we used with him so much. Shout out to Alex, who's not on this show. And so far when I watch Denver, I get that same vibe. We've always talked about how positionless basketball would be 5'6'9" players. And I know it's not 5'6'9" guys out there, but that's what I'm kind of leaning into, is that you need the ability for nobody to feel like they are a mismatch. And in this series, unfortunately, the weird thing that's happening is that Jamal Murray is getting isolated on Jimmy Butler. And to me, if you told me before this series started that it's going to be Jamal Murray on Jimmy a ton, how's that going to work out? I say the Heat are hoisting a trophy, and the fact that Jimmy is not eating in that matchup and that's not complete food for Jimmy is telling to me. But overall, what I've learned is the Heat need to find ways to get functional size in a way that makes a difference in these matchups. And I know you can't plan for a finals matchup. So it's not about that. It's more about having more guys that you can plug and play that don't have deficiencies as it relates to size, generally speaking. I just think they need to get bigger at certain positions. Their specialists need to be a little bit, at least athletically, more advanced. And I think that they are moving in that direction, and certain guys have made it work anyway. But that's the big disparity to me, is that I feel like there are a couple big, long athletes short in this particular series, and it felt that way against LA. So that's a common thread so far.
Yeah, I'm with you on it. And, again, it seems like when the Heat go get size, whether it's a Kevin Love or Cody Zeller or something like that, again, it's a low minute player.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And so it's not just about like, okay, we got to add a big, like,
no.
And again, Kevin Love was one of their most, effective.
I hope he's back.
Guys last night, and I do think he comes back. But I think that when you look at kind of where they're at right now, again, they need guys that they can leave on the floor for 25, 30 minutes. Like that's the thing. When it's necessary, they don't have that right now.
Like built like Haywood Highsmith, but able to play 38 minutes.
Right, exactly. And so right, exactly. And we see that Spo won't play Highsmith in this series. And that's a whole nother conversation, and it's kind of we deep dive on that with Brady or Alex tomorrow. We'll get into that. Like, why is that not happening? Why won't he play him more, or at least a little bit, right? And so that's what they have to look for this offseason. I'm with you. Like, it's great to say, okay, we brought Caleb back. Terrific. We all agreed with that move. That move has paid off in spades, even if he has not had a terrific NBA Finals. He had some moments in Game 3 and some moments in Game 4. Obviously was limited by the altitude sickness or whatever he was going through in the first two games. But again, when you're looking at Caleb Martin, you put him up against Aaron Gordon, you put him up against Michael Porter Jr., you realize, okay, he's still small for the position. And so they just don't have that. And so that leaves Bam on an island a lot. And that's why Bam had one of those weird games yesterday where I tweeted, and it's still getting retweeted this morning, that he should escape any criticism no matter what because of everything that he's having to do right now. And I still believe that, even though he had 7 turnovers last night, whereas the entire Denver team had 6. Okay, it's just you're asking him to do.
He has
too
to,
much.
Yeah,
right. You're asking him to do too much right now, and everybody's like, well, if you're going to say he's a top 15 player, but I get it. Even top 15, top 20, top 25 players need help, and this has always been, okay, we can try this guy, like, oh, let's go with Caleb for this series, and let's go with Kevin for this series. And yes, it's good to have that kind of flexibility. It's better to have the flexibility in one player.
Yep.
Than to have to sub in one guy for another. And
go get that guy. That's
right.
That's the mantra.
Well, and I'm watching last night, and again, we're going to do a lot more on this over the course of the weekend, but I'm watching Jovic warm up last night. And I'm like, I see the vision there.
Me
if
too.
He's still there. I see the vision there. Like, you see, he's gotten more muscular. That we've talked about this. He's put on 15 pounds. He's still moving really fluidly. I'm watching him interact with other guys and the staff, and it seems like they really like him. He looks like, again, if he's not flipped to go get a star, he looks like the kind of core piece that could give them some of that flexibility in one player that they're looking for. They need to find more of those. All right, we're going to save the rest of this because we got so much else to get to. We do want to thank our sponsors, YouBreakWe'llFix.com. Dr. Jonathan Chung, you can find him at chiropractickeystone.com. Prize Picks, use the code 5FIVE. We are having a watch party Monday night. Tropical Distillers. We're doing it. We're not being blamed for any of this. We're kind of like Tyler Herro now. Like, we cannot be blamed, okay? Because things have kind of gone awry without us. All right? But maybe it'll be fun. I mean, either we're gonna watch, the Heat save a series in Denver, and I'm not in Denver, by the way, for Game 5, so I can't be blamed for that either. We're either gonna watch them save a series in Denver, which is gonna be a hell of a lot of fun, or we're gonna drink to a great season.
A great season. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, a great season. I mean, it wasn't great all the way through, but I'm gonna choose to remember the last 6 to 8 weeks where they dragged us through this willingly, and so we're gonna we're going to have some fun out there. We got a lot of people at Five Reasons Sports Network who are coming. Your guy Mercy, who does the theme song here, he's coming out as well. The Pouncey brothers are going to be out there. If you guys are Gator fans or Steeler fans or Dolphin fans, they own the place. So we're going to have a good time. It's in Allapattah. We'll be out there a little bit early. Alex will be out there. I believe Brady will be out there. The drinking part, I'm not going to authorize that since he's still not 21. But we're going to have a good time. And also, we're going to have shots before the game. Everything that you need to get through this experience, we're going to be there at Tropical Distillers on Monday night. All right. Thanks, everybody. New episode coming up tomorrow as well.